know we love spooky things. This is why we fell in love with Michigan-based lynbdesigns. When I popped the pumpkin spice all the things wax melt into my burner, my home was filled with the delicious buttery scent. Plus, there's the wide variety of gorgeous nail polishes with themes like Hocus Pocus and Pleasant Peninsula. All products are vegan and cruelty-free, and you can find monthly sales on Facebook and Instagram at lynbdesigns. Head to lynbdesigns.store today. Again, that's lynbdesigns.store.
We love them. We love you. It's great nail polish. It's the best I've ever used. Thanks.
Michiganders can be a superstitious bunch. We find all sorts of reasons to explain the world around us, sometimes pulling from science, sometimes tradition, and sometimes from our imaginations. What happens when we can't readily explain our experiences, and what happens when a ghost story gets out of hand? Do these legends stem entirely from fantasy, or are people seeing things no one can truly explain? I'm Krista K. Coburn.
And I'm Kay Gray. Welcome to Haunted Mitten. Okay. Beaver Island. Beaver Head Lighthouse. Get your giggles out. Go for it. Now is the time. I'm gonna laugh too because it's really fucking funny. Okay. Are we all good? Everybody good?
For now.
I'm gonna do it later. Beaver Head Lighthouse. It's not, you just can't,
Why?
we weren't thinking about the future is what we were not doing.
Oh, I'm sure it was a joke back then as well.
I really hope so.
It's an old reference. History's
Okay.
grand. People
All right,
haven't changed much.
No, we have not changed at all. All right. We are adults. We can do this. We are talking pirates.
Woo! Did you know the Great Lakes had pirates? Just, of course we did. Being essentially freshwater seas, it might not come as a surprise that we had our fair share of pirates. And not as long ago as you might expect. But first, we need to talk a little about the history of the Great Lakes and some of the people who chose to settle here.
It's not going to be boring, I swear to you.
It's about pirates, man.
The Great Lakes came about after the Ice Age, around 14,000 years ago, when the glaciers that covered the northern half of the U.S. and all of Canada receded, completing the process around 4,000 years ago. They left behind huge basins that filled in with meltwater and runoff from the glaciers themselves. According to the National Museum of the Great Lakes, quote, great masses of rock were sheared off the hills and mountains and shoved along the path, gouging out whole regions where the surface rock was softer and spreading the debris to the south, all the way to the Ohio River, into the Adirondacks, and westward beyond the Mississippi, as far south as the northeast corner of Kansas and the upper third of Missouri, end quote. And that's far.
Yeah, that's really far.
That's a lot.
Like, the Great Lakes are younger than Stonehenge, which is kind of mind-blowing and fun. I love that's
wild.
Like one of my favorite facts. The Great Lakes are younger than Stonehenge.
Yeah.
By a lot.
That's so wild.
By a lot.
Yeah.
So we won't make you sit through the entire geography lesson, but a lot of rock stuff happened, and bam! Great Lakes. Only 4,000 years young. Completed after some civilizations in the world came and went, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Completed after some of the pyramids in Egypt that'd been around for over 1,000 years. It's like,
yeah,
it's young.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Like, I love putting things like that in perspective. The five together, if you don't know, are Superior, Michigan, Huron, Erie, and Ontario. Or as I learned it, Huron, Ontario, Michigan, Erie, Superior, because it spells out homes. Because there are homes.
Homes.
There are homes. I learned that in 4th grade when we take state history.
Yeah, that's adorable.
Yeah. It should be noted that technically Michigan and Huron are they're the same body of water connected by the Straits of Mackinac. So it's arguable. Some people consider it 2 lakes. Some people consider it, it's actually 1 lake. But there is a strait in between them. They do have different currents, etc., etc. We've talked about this before in our
Yeah.
shipwrecks episode. So, and again, those are some of the deadliest waterways in the entire world.
And we built a bridge right over them.
Yep.
Take that, deadly water.
Yep.
Other things Michiganders are proud of include having the second largest island within a freshwater lake in the world, Isle Royale. Canada claims the number 1 spot with Manitoulin Island. And pretty much the most shipwrecks ever. Seriously, those lakes are littered with them. See previous episodes on just a tiny, tiny fraction.
Teeny tiny.
So small. There's something just recently they got like a full image scan of one of them. Of course, it's blanking.
They're always finding new ones, which is just absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
And the level of which they're preserved in the lakes and the other things they're finding down there. It's really cool. It's a cool thing to keep up on.
Because Superior is too cold to have the bacteria that disintegrates things. So
and that includes people.
Yep.
Fun times. So people have been living along the Great Lakes since there were people around to live near them, essentially, because they're awesome. That's around 10,000 BCE. It's a very long time ago. We covered this more in depth in the Shipwreck and Mackinac Island episodes, but to keep it short, there were several communities of people living around Michigan and the lakes for hundreds of years before we knew they even existed. Europeans arrived closer to about 1600, and well, we all know how things went after that. It's very complicated history, lots of books written on it. Reading from greatlakes.guide, quote, in the early 1600s, 20 tribes that are recorded surrounded the Great Lakes. Each tribe, like Ojibwe, Odawa, Nipissing, Algonquin, Abenaki, Wolastoqiyik, and Mi'kmaq, were closely related to the Algonquian language and customs. That's why you hear so many stories, Algonquian legends and things like that. Before that, peoples like the Hopewellians and appendages to the Mississippians populated the area. It's so much fun to explore that history. Oh my god, it goes back so far.
Yeah, it's really good. But to focus in a little bit, let's take a look at Beaver Island. Giggle, just get it out now. Just it's fine. You can giggle every
We're good. No more giggles
We're good?
This moment.
At this moment. It's no surprise that it was called that because of the large number of beavers that inhabited the place. But we know that the island was, if not always inhabited, visited by ancient peoples often. And we know this because there are 2 stone circles on the island. These are often called some of Michigan's Stonehenges, but they really deserve to stand on their own.
Yeah, Stonehenge is Stonehenge. This is something totally different. And Stonehenge isn't even a henge. It's beautiful. The largest stone circle is almost 400 feet in diameter and often the subject of controversy. Shocking. It seems there's no definitive answer as to whether it is natural or man-made. Beaver Island doesn't want a giant tourist attraction, and it seems as though this has hindered research on the circle, unfortunately. But I kind of get it. I get where they're coming from. It was founded in the 1980s by Terry Busey. But for all this, we still don't know how the stones got there, why they're there, or who made them.
Hey gang, just popping in to say that there is some contention as to whether Bussey even discovered something at all. Some people say that it's just like a natural formation of pile of rocks after glaciers. Some people say that Bussey actually made an archaeological discovery, but it seems to me that everything is still up in the air. So I just wanted to pop in and make sure we were clear about that. Thanks. Enjoy.
So as I was researching Beaver Island, I just kept finding more and more and increasingly stranger things about the place. We're going to skip over the main subject of our Beaver Island portion of the show for a moment and talk about the saint of Beaver Island, Fyodor Protar. Originally Friedrich Parrot, or Perot, I don't know. Fyodor was born in 1837 in Estonia, then part of the Russian Empire. According to Wikipedia, he was an actor who traveled all over Europe, but hightailed it out of there around 1874. It's theorized he got in trouble with the Romanovs and headed for the faraway land of North America.
It's difficult to get further away than that.
It's pretty hard, yeah, especially where he ends up on Beaver Island.
Feodor worked for theaters all over the eastern half of the US, but eventually settled in Rock Island, Illinois, and became editor of the newspaper Volkszeitung. Volkszeitung. German's not my language, but I think I'm pretty close. But he didn't settle there, as you might have guessed. According to the Restless Viking blog, who went to Beaver Island to get the story, quote, over the 11 years, Protar had worked to bring the Volkszeitung newspaper back to life. He would often travel to Beaver Island for respites. Contrary to his city life successfulness, Protar had wished for a simpler, more meaningful lifestyle. His reading of Tolstoy had nourished this desire too.
I didn't know this. I don't know a lot about Russian literature, but apparently Tolstoy inspired an entire religious movement. That's insane. And Protar was moved by it and made the trek up to Beaver Island to stay. Reading from Wikipedia, quote, he lived alone, sharing the isolated island with a small population of farmers, loggers, and fishermen, most of them of whom were Irish Americans with roots in County Donegal. Protar lived off the land as much as possible, growing his own food, canning, and drying it for sustenance during the long winters. His fellow islanders saw him as a benevolent, if eccentric, humanitarian and follower of a spiritual discipline inspired by Tolstoy.
He became known as the Saint of Beaver Island, using his learned skills to treat minor ailments and scrapes and bruises. According to the Beaver Island Historical Society, he refused to handle the big stuff. Quote, he dispensed medicine and care to treat the common cold and chronic illness, respiratory infections, arthritis, rashes, and other ailments. Aware of his limits, he refused to handle childbirth, vaccinations, and serious accidents and illnesses. Smart man. You know where to stop.
Good on ya.
Yeah.
Yeah, good on ya.
Not something I often read about in history or, even the present day. You stay in your lane.
Yeah.
He did. He was like, yeah, good.
No, it's true.
Yeah, smart.
Know what you're good at. Know where your limits are. And it's fine. It's fine.
And just perfect that.
It's okay to do that.
Yeah, you don't have to be a jack of all trades. It's fine. Protar died in 1925, which is 99 years ago. That's crazy. Possibly of a stroke. Not an uncommon way to go. The residents of the island built a tomb for him, surrounding it in stones from his property. His home was kept in pristine condition and is now a museum dedicated to him and his work.
I want to go.
Yeah, I want to go too. This island is so unique.
Yeah, it's really hard to tour there.
Yeah, I've read
They do not like outsiders.
You expect a lot of kind of rough hiking is what I've read. If you want to really explore.
Beaver Island is just incredibly unique. I can't get over how odd and lost in time it's starting to feel. But we are a paranormal podcast. We'll get to the spooky stuff. Well, okay, pirates and then the spooky stuff. But I didn't realize there'd be so much to talk about on Beaver Island. I kind of just thought it was another island where people lived, and you could go take a vacation or whatever. But no, it's really Irish. It's called the Island of Michigan, and it's got weird medicine religious dudes and pirates.
Yeah, and weird stone sculpture things.
It's a weird place. I would really love to go.
Yeah. So the oldest rumor about pirates happens to be about Calico Jack Rackham, famous Caribbean pirates from the 1700s. However, there's no solid evidence that he was in the Great Lakes at all, much less doing pirate stuff. He was not common to travel from the Caribbean to the Great Lakes. So, take that with a grain of salt, but it's part of the lore.
It's just repeated. It's the same story repeated by different publications, different blogs and stuff. It's not.
We do know quite a bit about Jack Rackham. He's really the Caribbean pirates. We have pretty solid histories on most of them, although
yes,
they also had their own legends and lore, but pretty unlikely Jack Rackham came here. But again, it's part of the lore, fun stuff. Our second subject is someone you may have heard of already, possibly from us, the Mormon Pirate King of Beaver Island.
I'm so excited to talk about this man.
Yeah. What a legacy.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, seriously. James Strang was an eccentric fellow at best. His short list of accolades includes leading a religious sect, declaring himself a king, and serving in the Michigan House of Representatives for 1.5 terms, meaning this man got elected twice. That no longer seems like a strange sentence. When I wrote this, it seemed wild to me that you could elect. So, wow, there's a lot of parallels in this story.
Oh dear.
Okay.
Although, I mean, if you look at a Michigan legislative history, we had some characters. Remember, this was the frontier for a long time.
Yeah, this is no different.
Nope.
Strang proclaimed himself the next leader of the Church of Latter-day Saints, Strangite, in parentheses specifically, after Joseph Smith died in 1844, and I'm including the word Strangite in that to denote that the LDS Church does not recognize the sect as an official part of the religion, nor James Strang as the actual successor of Smith. But I digress.
That's another like complicated part of history. Strang didn't take no for an answer, as most men in his position do not.
No way.
He took his followers and made his own religion in Wisconsin, having revelations and visions that declared him the true leader, what have you. But they were kicked out of that area, much like Mormons were kicked out of almost all places they tried to settle. Strang took everyone, and that's 2,000 people at least, according to some sources, next to Beaver Island in the upper portion of Lake Michigan. According to Britannica, quote, by 1849, the city of St. James was established on the island's northern coast. The following year, Strang received another revelation in the Plates of Laban?
Laban.
That's just Swedish. It said polygyny, and he was married to 4 wives at one time. He also claimed that it sanctioned his coronation, of course, and in July he became King James I.
I cannot roll my eyes hard enough. This man. Okay. He never actually declared himself king of Beaver Island, but he had a habit of treating everyone on it, Strangite and non-alike, as subjects, so giant shrug. He was essentially acting as the king of Beaver Island.
Yep.
Reading from Wikipedia, quote, as a result of his coronation, Strang was accused of treason, counterfeiting, trespassing on government land, and theft, along with other crimes. He was brought to trial in Detroit after President Fillmore ordered U.S. District Attorney George Bates to investigate the rumors about Strang and his colony, end quote. He won his trial.
Good for him.
Somehow, some way, and with his newfound good press coverage, ran for a seat in the House and won. Again, lots of parallels I'm seeing now that we are recording this after the first week of November in the United States of America in 2024, and I don't like it.
I mean, it's not so much that history repeats itself, but it rhymes, as the saying goes.
Yeah.
I'm sure his is not an isolated story. I mean, it's pretty unique. He's a very unique person, but I'm sure stuff like this always happened.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's just wild how I was thinking about it when I wrote this.
Yeah, versus now.
Now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so close to an election, or so close after an election. Leading up to the election was utter insanity. Yeah, absolutely. So what about the pirates? Right, that's why I'm here. Before Strang.
Oh, is that why you're here?
You know.
Good to know.
It's one of I love pirates, and I love that we have pirates on the Great Lakes, and I love telling people this. Before Strang ever became a Michigan rep, he led a group of pirates up and down Lake Michigan, terrorizing quote-unquote Gentiles. So non-Mormons, in this case. His group, anyway, in this case. That's what that means.
Yeah.
The New York Times from October 1855 wrote, quote, the people along Lake Michigan, from here north to the Manistee, have been thrown into the most intense excitement by the operations of a gang of marauders who are reported to be Mormons from Beaver Island and who have carried on their operations with a boldness, coolness, and desperation rarely equaled in the records of highwaymen. End quote. Love old newspapers.
They're so good.
So Strang and his band traveled from Beaver Island all the way down to the mouth of the Kalamazoo River in Saugatuck, burning and pillaging as they went, as pirates do.
Now, there is contention whether or not Strang ever really had a gang of pirates, and as Mormons have always been persecuted and ridiculed, some for good reason, it's possible these stories were made up to further discredit the sect. But it seems more sources than not agree that Strang raided cities and lighthouses along the coasts of Lake Michigan. Mormon pirates of Beaver Island.
Yeah. Well, and Mormonism at the time wouldn't have really been seen as a religion as it is today.
Nope.
It's a fully accepted religion. They've got, they're established. Back then, they would have been like, these weirdos. Because it was very new. It was very new.
These freaking weirdos in their cult, and this guy's calling himself a king. So
yeah.
Get out of here. Shoot,
so he's like an especially weird branch of Mormonism. He's early Mormonism.
But what about the ghosts? I can hear you yelling to your phones and other listening devices. We're getting there. Okay? We're getting there.
Yeah,
but this is just... I need more people to know about James Strang and all of his Mormon pirates. I need you to know this.
It's an important backstory to what
it's really
what goes on in this area. So if you ever see ghosts, it's late at night, you see the fog coming off the lake, you think you see pirates, you might be seeing ghost pirates.
You might be seeing Mormon pirates.
Yeah. Now, we don't know if any of these spirits are Strang or his crew, of course, but obviously fun to think about. We do know that Beaver Island and a lot of the lighthouses along Michigan are incredibly haunted. Books about it. The piratical activities could have contributed to the happenings around the lake. Pretty likely. There has certainly been enough emotion and energy mixed up with the power of Lake Michigan to create something. People see things all the time. We don't know what they are, but yeah, like I said, if anyone thinks they see the ghost of a pirate or a marauder, yeah, you absolutely you could be seeing that.
You might. A fully uncaffeinated, not drunk pirate.
Yep.
Congrats.
Yep.
It seems only one of the lighthouses on Beaver Island has something strange going on.
Nope.
I had to.
Nope.
Dang it. But it's called Beaverhead.
Yeah. Beavers were really important to early Europeans, okay? Like the whole reason they came here.
Yeah, but it's funny.
It's so funny.
Detroit Paranormal Expeditions, or DPX, actually cites this location as giving them one of the clearest EVPs they have ever received on an investigation, which you can listen to online if you search for Beaverhead Lighthouse Haunted. But more on that in just a few minutes.
A brief history on the light. The tower was built in 1858 to replace one built in 1852. Boy, that happened a lot. That one really didn't last long. Again, this happens a lot. How many lighthouses have we said were built in the 50s and then replaced like 30 years later?
Yeah.
The keeper's home was built in 1866, and I have no idea where the keeper lived from 52 to 66. Maybe on the floor of the lighthouse itself.
I don't know.
For a little while, starting in the 1970s, an alternative school for youth aged 16 to 21 began operating at the retired light. Cool place to put people. The keeper's dwelling has operated as an environmental and vocational educational center. So again, like there's stuff there. It's just like kind of almost out of the way.
It's super out of the way.
It's not like Mackinac Island. It's you don't have ferries going multiple times a day,
Right.
But I love this part. The maintenance and the building's restoration was part of the school's curriculum, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Now owned by Charlevoix County and Networks Northwest, the property is still under renovation. Honestly, probably will be for a little while. The tower is open to the public. You can go climb it. I bet it's a hell of a view. I mean, come on.
Oh, it's got to be great.
Yeah.
It's got to be so good and haunted.
I know. I want to go because it really does look very beautiful.
It does. It looks gorgeous.
And it's not touristy.
And it's not touristy at all. I actually saw a patron the other day at the library with a Beaver Island sweatshirt on.
Nice.
And I wanted to stop them and be like, tell me of your stories.
Yeah.
I didn't. I was slightly more hinged than that.
You're at work. You have to
But I
have a certain
wanted to.
demeanor. Yeah.
I am at work. Anyway, okay. Back to DPX and their investigation. They told Click on Detroit in 2023 that as they were pulling up to the light, the psychic with the group said they saw a woman in a white dress standing on the porch. She was pointing to the road saying, "Go, you need to leave now." The feeling was as if she was trying to protect them from something dark. It is when the team decided to do an EVP session that they got their clear message. An angry voice seemed to be saying, "Shipwreck, I told you to go." This struck them as aligning perfectly with the warning from the woman on the porch. As I said earlier, this part of the lake is like dangerous. It's
Yeah.
so dangerous.
Yeah.
Lake Michigan, in fact, is the deadliest of all the Great Lakes. It's super scary, but also really pretty.
Yeah.
If
I love
not
her.
friend, why friend-shaped? In this region, at least, the danger is partly due to all of the nearby reefs that ships like to get caught on, and then their crews need to be rescued. And despite all the shipping that we have done, do, and will continue to do on the Great Lakes, it's really a terrible idea.
It's still not.
So
It's still not that safe. It's safer.
yeah, it's safer, but like it's still a terrible
rough.
idea.
Yeah, it's still rough.
So this could be one of the shipwrecks that the angry voice was referring to in the EVP. The keepers of this light certainly saw several shipwrecks.
Oh yeah,
so many.
Yep.
I'm going to click on this link. We're going to go to DPX. I'm going to see if I can play any of these.
You can't shake this door handle for me like this. Can you do that? What if you did that and the door just opened, it wasn't locked anymore?
I told you to go.
Did you hear that?
Yep, I heard that.
Did you hear the little creepy voice?
I heard a voice. It didn't creep me out or anything, but
Oh, it's creepy little goblin voice.
is it? Play it again.
You can't shake this door handle for me like this. Can you do that? What if you did that and the door just opened, it wasn't locked anymore?
I told you to go.
It sounds kind of feminine to me. I told you go.
I told you to go.
Yeah.
It's creepy little goblin voice.
Eh.
All right. Well, apparently you just don't get creeped out by things.
I mean, to me, it sounds like a woman angry or something.
Oh, it sounds like the caricature of an old witch from a 1980s film.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, to me, that's angry old woman. So.
All right. Well, that's not. I expected you to have a way different.
I mean, it seems very
Okay,
clear. For sure.
It's like there's another person just talking into that microphone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like it's straight up like there's just another person there.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see if you can hear. Well, let's see.
You're okay.
I heard the beginning of it.
You're okay.
Sounds like a whisper.
Yeah, okay. I hear that.
It's supposed to be they hear Once Upon a Time.
Okay.
A lot of these are with an SB7 spirit box.
Okay.
So they are open to an interpretation. But there's like 9 of them on on their Beaver Island page.
Yeah.
Which is like a wild number.
That's a lot. Yeah.
That's EVPs.
Is this from one?
Gathered?
Oh, multiple expeditions, maybe.
Yeah.
But that's
right.
No, that's a lot.
But yeah, and all the articles that DPX did for like MLive and Freep and all the Halloween time, like where are your favorite haunted locations articles? DPX can routinely said Beaver Island, specifically Beaver Head Lighthouse.
Yeah.
They get wild stuff there every time they go, which I have no idea how often that is, but like, man, I really want to go.
Yeah. And I want to say this is the one you have to hike to. I can't remember. Because there are a number of islands in northern Lake Michigan that are sparsely populated and covered in lighthouses.
Yeah. This one in particular is fairly large.
Oh, I think is the north part there the settlement is. I can't remember. Which was called Whiskey Point because they traded whiskey for goods and services.
They did, because what
Yeah.
else are you gonna do? What else are you
Yeah.
gonna do in little Ireland?
Yeah. I feel like, well, they knew what they had. But yeah, I mean, when you're on an island like that, you have to go back and forth quite a bit with the mainland or trade via ships.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure all kinds of accidents happened here. Shipwrecks, obviously. It kind of goes without saying on any of the Great Lakes, especially if you're
Oh my
near
God,
land, because then
yeah.
you have like shallows and shoals and reefs and things like that. So sandbars,
Yes.
lots of things to get caught on. But yeah, anyone who lives on an island and has to rely on going back and forth between the mainland for supplies is running a risk.
Yeah. For sure. And it also, just based on its location, is just a really good staging ground for pirates. So
Yeah. I wonder how much of that history like is popping up in like a main shore lore, and we just don't know that that's what it's
oh yeah.
from.
Right, of course, yeah.
Because if you're getting maybe EVPs say of what sounds like a marauder or something at like Grand Haven, you're gonna be like,
Right.
that's what the hell? That's nothing. But like, maybe it's actually this pirate gang here that you're
It
getting.
could be. Yeah. Yeah, because it's right across from, well, the tunnel of trees that Google tells me.
Yeah, which is so beautiful if you haven't driven it.
And yeah, and Petoskey and Charlevoix, and just a little bit down is the Leelanau Peninsula.
Yeah, so
And you just keep going, man.
yeah,
Like,
so
you got whatever you want.
yeah, pretty major points in Michigan. And certainly back then,
Yeah.
my gosh, the trading, lumber, fishing,
Yeah.
beaver pelts, all that stuff. Yeah, it would have been big business.
Yeah. Also
especially
not
lumber.
almost equidistant to the Siskiyou Lighthouse
Okay, which is another one.
and Manistee.
Yep. Haunted.
Yeah. It looks like a good little place if you want to start some Mormon piracy.
Yeah, and I would love to visit the Stones and
Yes.
do
Oh
maybe
my
some
gosh, I want
EVPs
to.
there
Yeah.
if anyone's investigated that paranormally. And there's the, quote unquote Stonehenge of Lake Michigan under the waves.
Oh yeah,
It's
that's true too.
underwater. So
Yeah.
it would be interesting to know if those are connected to Beaver Island.
Right. Is it the same group of people? Is it the same families of people?
Yeah.
Families in the yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Certainly be a
That'd be
difficult
cool.
thing to investigate, but like, come on, archaeologists,
Well, come on.
get on this.
I would love to.
We have some world-class
get on this.
universities in this area. Like, come
I
on.
know. But the good folk of Beaver Island don't want you. Don't go there. They don't want you.
Yeah, I wonder, is it on public land? Because, like, if it is,
I think technically, yeah.
if it is, you can kind of do what you want. Not saying you should.
You really can.
Not saying you should do what you want, but
But we're saying that you can.
yeah. I feel like there's a lot going on here with Beaver Island, with these strange stones that no one can explain, funky history with like pirates and things, and then EVPs at the lighthouse. There's
it just turned out
it's an interesting mix of things.
It turned out to be way more a mystery island than I thought when I was like, oh, I know about James Strang, I want to know about the pirates.
Yeah, and
then I started looking at where they lived, and I was like, wait a minute, this place is weird.
Yeah.
This is such a weird island.
Yeah. And it like crosses over because like there's the spooky ghost stuff and like EVPs and things, but then there's like these weird stones that we also have similar weird stones submerged in Lake Michigan, and relatively speaking, not that far away. It's a large lake, but it's just a large lake. It's not like the Pacific Ocean. So
right,
could these things be connected? What do they mean? And Lake Michigan itself has
right.
weird stuff happening in it all the time. You have the Lake Michigan Triangle that we've talked about. So yeah, this is an interesting little place.
And like, what made Fyodor Protar like move here specifically to be this weird little healer hermit guy.
Yeah,
Like,
another
why
religious
pick this
spiritual
island?
history. Like, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I would love to visit and like hear it from the mouths of the people.
Yeah.
Which that nomadic the Viking blog that
Mhm.
we talked about, that we quoted from earlier, like they'd made a vacation of it. They went, they talked to the people that lived there. They really wanted to know like the actual story of
Yeah.
this, and not just whatever's repeated on, the Restless Viking blog. They have their write up on Beaver Island is really cool. They have lots of photos, and they just like, they really loved the people that live there, and just they wanted to know about this guy who just decided to be a small town doctor. Like,
Yeah, all the way from Russia and to end up there.
yeah,
Yeah.
what a
And
crazy life.
And then to be a healer, which is not something typically done in that decade.
Right.
Not especially.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if it's, I mean, it sounds like maybe a spiritual kind of place.
It does. I would really love to go.
One day.
All right. One day.
One day.
One
We'll
day.
make
One
it.
day I'll get
We'll
there.
make it.
We'll make
It's
it.
not like it's terribly far away from places we've been.
It's not far in that it's like geographically far, but it feels far in that it takes a lot of resources because it's not built up. It's not.
You can't just
touristy
drive
place.
there.
Right. Yeah. No, you're
It's an island.
you're at the mercy of the either very, very tiny airstrip or the fair or a boat. Like, you're
Yeah.
kind of stuck. Yeah.
Even Mackinac Island is cutting back on ferries, so this is even smaller
Yeah.
than that. So
Yeah. A little cost prohibitive for the average Haunted Mitten vacation, if you
Yep.
will.
all right, that about does it for James Strang, the Pirates of the Great Lakes. Go Pirates! At least on this feed. If you'd like to hear the tale of the other famous pirates sailing the lakes, head over to our Patreon, and Kay will tell her husband the story of Roaring Dan. Dun dun dun.
Yeah, he's my new audience stand-in.
Yeah, that works.
He's doing it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole history of Roaring Dan CV that it just didn't really lead into anything spooky or paranormal. It's
Mhm.
just really, really fascinating.
Yeah.
So it's going in the Kay's crime corner instead, even though it's
I mean, pirates are crime.
it's like it's crime.
It's crime.
But it's
a different kind of
but
crime.
there's way more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's way more than that.
Pirates are cool.
So check that out. That should be out this month
Sweet.
as well. The video that you're watching, if you're on Patreon, hey patrons. If you're not seeing our faces and you would like to see our faces, join the Patreon. It's between $1 and $3 a month. You got this. You can do it.
Yeah, and we're trying to post more. A lot of what we post, honestly, now has been our live stuff.
Yeah.
Because we keep doing more and more and more of that, which has been great. It's been hectic,
which is awesome.
but yeah, it's been great.
It's been so good. But yeah, you can find all of that stuff there at Patreon. Search for Haunted Mitten and it should happen.
Yep. And you can find us on socials, also searching Haunted Mitten. Instagram, Facebook. I think we're on Blue Sky. I don't know how much that gets updated, but
Yeah, so at the very least, Haunted Mitten has a Blue Sky. I should probably just hand those reins over to you.
Yeah, I need to see if I can find some apps that will like let me connect them all, so I don't have to go and individually update every single thing. Some of them are unique, like
For real.
Facebook sometimes gets some unique things, Instagram gets some unique things. But since
Sure.
they're both meta, they're so easily connected.
easy,
It's
yeah.
they're just it's almost
Yeah.
the same thing now.
We are bailing on Twitter.
Yeah, and
Finally, it's probably a long time coming. I am not deleting the Haunted Mitten account because I don't want to lose the name in case something happens. But yeah,
I mean, Twitter for me, activity wise, died a long time ago. Like people just kind of
me too.
even before it became X, like people were sort of abandoning it. people that I had been keeping in touch
Yes.
with, and then it became
Yeah.
X, and like more people just kind of started ignoring it, and
Yep. And now it's just racist propaganda.
yeah.
So
And now I just there's
um
nothing for me there, nothing I want to support. It's
yeah.
whatever.
Unless you want to see me troll Alex Jones hard, because that may or may not happen occasionally.
Yeah, and I never got into that. I used it for networking and things, and it was great, man. I've opened my account in
Yeah.
2008 because someone said he'd buy me dinner if I signed up for Twitter, because Twitter was new. So I was
Yeah.
kind of sad to kind of let that little thing go, but I mean no one was there. No one was there for me.
Nope.
All of those all
Everyone's
those communities I had built with fellow writers and stuff were just kind of
yeah.
So
We're on Blue Sky.
yeah.
Most active Instagram and Facebook for now, though.
Yeah,
So,
honestly they're the easiest to work with. They're the biggest. I mean, I hate
they're the easiest to work
Meta
with.
Business. Meta Business is a really frustrating app, but
it's a piece of crap.
They are interconnected, and if you want to mess with it, you can.
Yeah.
Blue Sky is new, takes a little more effort. A lot of the other ones too just take a little more effort. Discord's pretty easy. We're on Discord if you're part of the Patreon. And we're pretty active there. I like posting memes. My husband likes posting weird movies. Which I have to watch.
And you can hear us talk about our book, Ypsilanti Ghosts and Legends, which I definitely got a patron to put on hold yesterday.
Sweet.
At work.
Yeah,
because she checked out a book by James Mann, and I overheard her conversation, and so I inserted myself into that.
Yeah. James Mann's great. Yeah. If you're a fan of James Mann and read his books, man, you should totally read ours.
Yeah, I think that's it. Thanks for joining us on as we learned about not enough pirates on the Great Lakes, honestly.
Yeah.
Wild that we only had a couple. We should have had more.
They're probably more active out by like Buffalo, maybe.
Yeah, and I get it. It's cold. It's hard to be. You can't really be a pirate year round.
Yeah.
On the Great Lakes, you take a pause for winter when your ship can't go anywhere.
Yep.
And yeah, so I get it, but but at the same time, why not more?
Yeah, there's tons of booty out there
at Beaverhead Lighthouse. Hey, and on that note, happy haunting.
We're back here to talk to you about lynbdesigns. Not only do they have the best nail polish to rival even those most expensive nail polishes you see on Instagram, but they have stickers, wax melts, shirts, everything cute and adorable and definitely ready for this fall season. So be sure to check out this vegan, cruelty-free brand. You will love them as much as we do. Check out lynbdesigns' monthly sales. They are fantastic. I am going to go look at some right now. Thanks.